Hey guys, this is Crap Hunter, and welcome back to War Thunder. And a Merry Christmas to you all. I hope you have a lovely Christmas with lots of shiny things. I'll probably say it again at some point, but screw it. Thought I'd say it now. So anyhow, we are back on War Thunder, and yes, this game looks nice. Yes, this is the first time I am recording this game on my new computer, and it looks lovely. I am still getting used to that. I'm just going to feel a bit smug because it's like, it looks so good and it was so worth it. Apologies. Anyway, getting on to the main subject. As you can see, it is Christmas time. There is snow on the hills, in the background, and on the airfield. And our Christmas tree, very big Christmas tree, almost hitting the top of our hangar, is there with lots of presents for the ground crew. Most of them are bombs, but don't tell them that. I think it's a little prank that they'll like. But anyway, apart from the obvious gags. So, what is happening with this video? Well, this video is going to be kind of one of two parts. The first part will be this. It's not really a part series, it's just because I kind of wanted to split two things up into two videos, because I thought I'd treat you. Yes, so this video in particular will be the year in review. Yes, we are going to be having that time of year where I talk about what has happened in the time since I last made my other year in review video. And the second video, which we'll talk about in a lot more detail, or at least a fair amount more detail than previous, will be about the new Patch 1.5 American tanks. The Amerikaner und der Schweine have returned, this time bearing not just their planes, but also their tanks. But there's also more to it than just the American tanks. But if you really want to check that out, there should be a link in the description, fingers crossed by the time this comes out. There should be a link in the description, or if I'm really clever, now should be a hyperlink as well on the video saying click here for the American stuff. So if you are more interested in finding out whether the American tanks coming into War Thunder may have reinvigorated your War Thunder interest, or if you've not played War Thunder and kind of didn't really like the sound of it until now, then by all means click on the link down below, and I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy that video. And if you like it, of course, feel free to let me know in the comment section down below by clicking, and also clicking on the likes and subscribing if you wish to join the Crap Huntians. Anyway guys, enjoy that video, I'll catch you on that one. So, for all you guys out there who would like to watch the my year in review, thank you very much for doing so. I will make this as educational and as entertaining as possible. So, how this year in review system will work is basically I will talk about what has happened in the year 2014, pros and cons, pros first, cons second. Then I will talk about my progress with each nation. Then, of course, after that, I will then set myself goals for the said each nation in order to, so that by this time next year, hopefully I will have achieved most of those goals in order to sort of feel justified that I have played this game more than perhaps I should have recently. So, without further ado, let's start with the pros of what happened this year. So, War Thunder, what has happened to this game over the course of 1 year? For the pro side, well, obviously I would say the first thing that is the biggest and most amazing element to this game has to be the ground forces. This thing being in its most amazing form, I would say, when we're playing this. I will say War Thunder has certainly become an awesome game to play when you can play with vehicles. Now, it's also quite good because at the time of the release of War Thunder Ground Forces, I was going through a bit of a bad phase of World of Tanks. The games were turning out to be terrible every time I played. I never really found a reason to keep on playing. It was just not really enjoyable for me to play World of Tanks. So obviously, when War Thunder Ground Forces came out and offered a different and perhaps even better solution to a method to playing this, playing ground forces vehicles such as the Panzerkampfwagen Ausführung 5 Tiger, Panther, looking at the damn thing and I look down and see Tiger. Anyway, so yeah, you can play, you can play the Panther, the Tiger, and you can take on, you can not only could you play the Tiger and the Panther and the Panzer, the Panzer IV and the Jagdpanzer, but you could also shoot down aircraft with these very same tanks. And it was just amazing. Like, I thought, oh my god, this is so cool. I get to do this and this and this. And I honestly thought for a while that this thing could replace the World of Tanks as the main recording item. And in part, it kind of did for a while, but then unfortunately, as the time went by, certain Gaijin patches came along, it kind of descended into a bit of a sort of stale environment, and of course, War Thunder being War Thunder, which I will go into detail with in the later on, it just, I don't know, it never really, for me it never started, but I think the release and the continued gameplay for Realm Forces is single-handedly the best thing that's happened to War Thunder throughout 2014. Now, I would say the next thing that happened in 2014 that is the best, and admittedly it is only a couple days recently, is the introduction of American vehicles to the frontier. I think a new tech tree to revitalize the love of this game. I think it's certainly the way that we can now introduce ourselves into the new stuff for this game. I'm looking forward to seeing how this thing will fare. How Americans will fare up against the Soviets now, because they're not the only ones who have to face them now. And I think if that's the case, we could see some pretty interesting matches coming along. And maybe this could be the thing that gets me back into War Thunder a little bit more than perhaps I have been recently. I will admit, I haven't really played this game as much as I should have. I mean, don't forget, I did take the long 3 weeks break from this game because of reasons I will state later. But still, I think this is certainly a damn good thing. And I'm not going to go too much into detail because that is for the next video. But I will definitely say that this is certainly the second best thing that's happened to War Thunder this year. And I'm certainly looking forward to going further up this lineup when the opportunity presents itself, / when I can actually play this more than World of Tanks. But still, I'm very much happy with what's been going on with this regard. I'm very much happy to see American tanks finally, because then I can actually drive the American Easy 8 at some point. I don't know whereabouts I can find said Easy 8, but I'm pretty certain I can find it somewhere. I'll just have to make sure it's... Yeah, that's probably going to be the one. That's probably the closest thing to the Easy 8 I know. So anyhow, that's the second best thing I would say that's happened good-wise. And I would say the third best thing would be patch 1.43. It's, it did it obviously introduced a lot more into the game as well. And it also introduced new machine guns, new sounds. And I think, personally, I do like a different sound to some of the stuff we've got at the moment, like what we had. Like beforehand, some of the, the machine guns from the American fighters kind of, especially in my opinion, the P-47s. The 50, like I said, it sounds a bit stupid, but in my opinion, the best way to ever, the most important thing about certain types of warfare in regards to playing video games is the sound. And I think when they revitalized the 50 cals and made them sound more meaty, I love that. I absolutely love that in this. And I so think you guys, I definitely recommend, if you ever think about playing any kind of vehicle, play this vehicle with the 50 cals now. It is so much better, especially with the traces as well. It just looks and sounds amazing. Love this thing. But anyway, so I would definitely say that with the revitalized sound of not only just the American stuff, but also the German stuff, the German machine Gewehr MG17s sound much nicer. The Soviet machine guns now sound a little bit more, sound more realistic. Sounds pretty nice. I like the meteor sound of a machine gun. Hell, I do like machine guns and guns in general, so it's nice to hear them when they actually sound pretty darn cool. So that's another bonus as well. And of course, the biggest bonus for me in the regards to War Thunder aircraft is when they introduced that godly thing. Can I show a preview? I can show a preview. I mean, look! Want! Yeah, I need that aircraft. Not gonna lie, need that aircraft. Not want, need. Kind of a spoiler, that was one of the things I want to get next year. But anyhow, so that's I think that's the last best thing that's happened to War Thunder, is patch 1.43. Not only introducing a new bunch of aircraft as well as revitalizing the sounds, but also, adding a fresh new perspective onto War Thunder, which may have not dragged people back into this game. And and perhaps that made them start liking this game again if they haven't, or if you've haven't played it before and you haven't really thought of trying it, then that would have been the good time. I think now is a good time to drop into War Thunder. I think from now on, beforehand, perhaps not too much, but I think now I don't know. If we're lucky, things might turn out well. So, that was the pros of this game, and before I go on, if you feel there's anything that I'm listing in the pros and cons section of this video that either you personally agree with, or you found to have, say for example, you found another pro to this game that I didn't list, or you found another con to this game that I didn't list, or if you disagree and say, well no, that's not really a con, or whatever, by all means, put it in the comments section down below. I'd love to hear how you guys have fared as well this year, as well as myself, because then maybe I could perhaps sort of find the inspiration to perhaps continue on, whereas previously I might not have. So anyway, from that, let's go to the cons, and I will try and keep this as short as possible without falling into a rant, but if I do, I will apologise in advance. I would say my beef with this game, kind of similar to the pros, comes in three forms, but these three forms are quite large. I'm going to try and merge two of them in the same time, because they both kind of form into one, but they are separate in some regards. First of all, I would say realism. Or at least I would say historical accuracy / realism. Mainly because this game feels biased. And I know people will probably have a go at me for saying this, and probably some people will say, oh, you're wrong, this game isn't biased, but I feel it is at times. Not all the time, mind. I think there are definite elements where I've completely trolled someone and it has been realistic. Like I said, there are still good bits to this game. I've just mentioned them in the freaking pros. Like I said, there are bonuses to the realism in this game, but at the same time, there are some cons as well. Specifically, and I find this happens to me a fair amount of the time, is when I'm playing Germany in a tank or in an aircraft versus Russia. Now, I know people have probably bitched about this in the past, but I'm going to be another one of those people who talks about it, but not in the bitchy sort of sense. More in the sense of, I know my historical accuracy, and I know, or at least I know a fair amount of the Second World War, especially in regards to which year this vehicle took part in, or what year this certain thing happened. And I know for a fact that the Tiger in this game is so underpowered. Like, yes, the L-56 is way more powerful in this game than in World of Tanks, but God help you if you ever try and get the thing to shoot. Because literally, if you hit and do stuff, yeah, you can shoot and hit someone, and you pen, brilliant. But the problem is you die so quickly. And yeah, obviously in this game it acts out the same kind of realism that, the first person to shoot is often the first person to win. But then again, there comes a point where I'm thinking, well, actually, video game, you could not be so biased, because going into the sense of the other thing which annoys me a lot is the tiering. And this kind of fills into the realism, because, for example, the battle rating for this vehicle in particular is a hefty 5.7. And this thing also is getting into the same kind of games as this thing, which is only a 5.0. But it's like, well, hang on a second. What am I going to go up against at 5.0? This is just the thing that happened. That this used to take fights in 1943, maybe early 1944. And yet the battle rating system would have us believe that at the same time of this tank's release, this thing was around. This thing was around. I engage these things quite often in a Koenigsegg. I mean, look, battle rating 6.0, in which most of the time when I'm driving my German stuff, I engage this thing quite often. And it's like, this element of War Thunder I loathe the most, because it's like, of course a Tiger tank, the original Tiger tank would only engage, IS-2s or stuff like that. And you could say historically, yes, they did engage them, but only at the later stage of the war. And it's like, I always find it annoying, because it's just like, yeah, sure, we go up against the Russians, and if the shell does penetrate and do damage, then maybe you might get a chance of winning, but then again the Russians will just look at you, click on the gun, and oh, you're instantly dead, regardless of whether you were throwing the front, the side, or even your arse. And I just loathe that about this game. When I'm facing off against other nations in this tag, the battle rating system and the so-called realism of this game comes into effect where it really screws you over, and I loathe that about this video game. Because even in World of Tanks, the fabled game that many people find to be too arcadey, at least when you go off against something which is 2 tiers above you, you at least are given the chance to do something about it. Whereas in this game, because it's more realistic, you don't really get given you never really get an opportunity to actually defend yourself adequately in this game. And it's like it's the famous saying in this regard is that in War Thunder you can shoot down jets in a biplane, but it's like it still doesn't. Yeah, you can still do something in this game, but that doesn't mean you're ever gonna have the chance to do it, because the jet's still gonna outfly and shoot you down before you're even in range of his guns. And then of course you've got the people who play this game a lot, who know what they're doing, who also drive Russian tanks. Or German tanks as well. There may be people who drive German tanks in the arcade games, but if you're like me who wants to have the realistic game mode, you've got Soviet Union drivers out there who just know so much and just can throw a shell in your direction no problem. And it makes the grinding of this game so frustrating. And I just think that element, the tiering and the balancing of this game is just wrong, and I would seriously fix the tiering. I think the best way to fix the tiering is just take it back to the old system. Where it used to go from 1 to 20, I think is fine. No problem at all. At first I was looking forward to this new tiering system, but then I realised it was a pile of crap. And now, I think, if it could go back to, say, how it was, or God forbid, change it so it goes from tier 1 to 10, at least players could actually have the chance to enjoy going up a Tiger tank and feeling like they're in a Tiger, rather than thinking, great, I'm just in this rather useless box with a gun that can do damage, but God help me if I ever get near a target, because he's going to insta-kill me before I even get a chance to pull the trigger. So, not too keen on those two elements. The last element I'd say, which isn't so bugging as much as it used to be, but I still think could do with fixing, is bombers. In the sense that bombers never stop being so overpowered. I think, I know there was a period of time where bombers used to be so easy to shoot down, you merely look at them and they'd set a fire. But unfortunately now, what's happened is it's gone too far the other way. Now they have changed it, which is why I say it's not as bad as before, but it's still bad enough that most arcade games that I play when trying to grind through either the Americans or any other nation in particular, I can never really find a sense of enjoyment out of it, because unless I've got 20mm cannons going at an M134's standard of rate of fire, then there's no way in hell I'm going to have enough punching power to shoot down one of these bombers, and his AI gunners are going to insta-kill my pilot. And it's just stuff like that, where it's like, god damn it, once again, historical accuracy, War Thunder. The 8th Air Force suffered so many bomber casualties, they almost withdrew doing bomber raids over Germany because of how many B-17s got shot down in the course of 1943. Simple shit like that. And so if Gaijin ignored its bomber people complaining and whining so much and made it so that fighters actually had a chance of, shooting down bombers, then I think arcade games would become way more entertaining, because they wouldn't end up lasting less than 5 minutes if your team is utter garbage. Or better still, your team can be really good, but because your opponents think, oh, I'm just gonna go get some bombers and I'm gonna farm experience, I'm like, kills the fun for me almost instantly. And that's what drove me away from this game. It was just the balancing, the tiering, and the really shitty bomber syndrome where nobody actually used a fighter, because those things are apparently a bad idea in this game. Anyway, to try and curb off the negativity, I think those 3 elements, if they fixed at least one of them, I think this game would improve so much more. More specifically, if they even just fixed the bombers, I think I could play this aircraft side of this more, simply because I actually enjoy flying in this game a lot more than... I would enjoy this game a lot more than I am now. So, yeah... Fix the bombers, or fix the tiering, or even, God forbid, fix the historical inaccuracies of this game in order to make me feel like I'm actually doing something on the field rather than just sitting there waiting for either my team to win via bombers or to lose via bombers. Right, rant out of the way. Now let's get on to what I have accomplished in each nation. Now, I'm going to go from Japan to America, and hopefully these wouldn't take too long, because I've made little to no progress. Okay, so starting off with Japan, what progress I have made? Well, I've not made a bad progress. Certainly gotten a lot more Japanese aircraft to go through, and I have gotten through a number of aircraft in this. I'm now tier 2 on every aircraft, which is quite nice. I'm still grinding through a couple of things. I think there's a new... Oh, it's a new fighter as well. Nice. I'm also grinding through this. Currently, I'm trying to get this thing, which I'm really wanting. Is it this thing in particular? Or was it? Yes, I am. I am currently trying to grind to get this vehicle, the B7A2 Rusai, as it looks absolutely fantastic. That's a new jet bomber. I don't know. I think this is patch 1.43. Yeah, so those are the new aircraft which I'm wanting to get. But this one in particular I really want to get, just because it's the B7A2. It's got a lot of awesome firepower. It's also got a fair amount of decent armament for bomb-wise as well. I think the modifications allow me to get even better bombs, which this one has an 800-kilogram bomb. It's not great, mind, but it's certainly better than most. And also, it gets 20mm cannons to defend itself with. So, in a sense, it's also quite an effective fighter. So, I'm definitely going to be grabbing that at some point. But as for the rest of Japan, little to no progress, I'm afraid. Not really fussed about the Japanese aircraft in particular, which is one thing. As for jolly old Britain, I've made very limited progress once again. I'll be honest with you, I have unlocked the Typhoon Mark 1B, which is nice, and I am just about to unlock the Spitfire Spitfire F Mark 9, which is rather nice. The last Tier 3 Spitfire that I'm needing to unlock. I think I've also researched this one as well, which I probably should get at some point. But earning money in this game is a lot harder in recent times, or, willing to get premium stuff. I probably should need to get another premium aircraft or a premium vehicle in order to get myself some stuff like that. But no, generally speaking, I've made some relatively decent progress in this game. Certainly going to be, for the British at least, I'm certainly going to be trying to get myself into more games / with the British, so that way I can have a lot more fun. I think that at the moment, bro, I think I'm probably not in the best part of Britain. Maybe if I can get myself maybe if I can get myself here with Britain, maybe, just maybe I can get myself into this lineup here. Sounds pretty good. As for the Soviet Union, aircraft-wise, little to nothing. I have not unlocked a single... Oh no, I have unlocked the IL-2M, but that's it. I'm currently also researching the Yak-9K, but that's about it. Literally, couple of aircraft, and that's it. So, yeah, not the most experience. No, not the most for that stuff. As for tanks, though, I've made some pretty decent progress. I've got myself a KV-1. I've researched the SU-122. Currently grinding for the T-34-57, so certainly going to be grinding and certainly doing a pretty darn good thing on that. Now, let's go on to the vehicles I actually have done stuff in. First of all, for the aviation, I have done a crap ton for Germany. I have made lots of progress from going down the BF-109 line. I have not only gotten the F4, but the F4 Tropical, one of my absolute favourite German fighters at the moment. I adore this thing. I love it. I also love the F4 as well. Certainly, definitely enjoying... I love the F-Series. The F-Series for me is certainly the most enjoyable. I mean, look at that. I will say I do perform quite well in German aircraft at the moment, and I do really enjoy the extra cannon pods as well. So definitely, and also I have unlocked my first few Focke-Wulfs as well. I've got the Focke-Wulf A5 there, as well as the Focke-Wulf A1, which I think at the moment I can actually grind for the Focke-Wulf A4, which I probably will replace the BF-109 F4 because I have, or something, or maybe it's this one, the F4 Trop. I will, because I've pretty much finished off the grind for that, so definitely research a few more Focke-Wulfs, because the Focke-Wulfs are amazing fighters to use, very much entertaining to have. And I'm very close to researching the... Well, I've gotten also the BF-109 G2 Tropical, which is the latest variant. I have literally just gotten this thing, and I've yet to get the R6 modification for it, but when I do, oh hell yeah I do, I will be getting the gun pods for this thing and hopefully being able to do way more damage in combat with that. So doing quite well. As for the bombers, well, nothing really. Nothing done. I haven't really done anything for the bombers. I'm not really a bomber person, really. As for the United States... Oh, sorry, I almost forgot about that. Nearly went to the Americans first. Okay, so as for tanks, shit tons. As you know, I love Tigers. Currently researching a quarter of the way through the Königstiger. And then I promptly stopped getting through this, because then, of course, I gave this game a bit of a break. But I am back, so I'm hopefully going to get some time dedicated in. I have researched the Jagdpanzer IV L70, which I will stick on at some point. I will definitely get this thing, and I will make sure to play it once I've gotten enough credits to buy it. Like, I have got enough to buy it now, but I want to kind of save up for something else as well. But definitely want to grinding down. Going to get the Königstiger at some point. We'll definitely get the Königstiger and replace the and have also my first tier 4 vehicle of any kind in this game, which is really nice. So anyway, going to the American Air Force, not armor. Air Force game, be nice. So, like I was saying, as for the American Air Force, I am researching my first Tier 4 American aircraft. I have made a lot of progress. I will say, this is the other line of War Thunder that I really enjoy. I think Germany and America seem to be the two lines of aircraft that I just can't stop playing. And, shockingly, I am also playing the bombers as well. But more specifically, I'm playing the B-25 bombers. I might go for a flying fortress. I don't know, but I'm certainly not. But certainly, I love this thing simply because look at that beautiful style of bomber there. The only reason why I go for this bomber is because I can still treat this thing like a fighter. Because of the 30 and 50 cals at the front as well as around. I only go for a medium bomber simply because then I can actually shoot stuff down. So yeah, that is I do like that. That looks really nice, and I don't have to worry about making it all camoed up, which is even better. So definitely making a lot more progress in this in the sense of aircraft than other nations, which is kind of nice. As for Army, well, I've only just started playing the American lineup, but I have already gotten down to the M3 Lee, as you can see here. I'm going to have to figure out how to... Pardon me, I'm going to have to try and figure out how to use the multi-turret technology, but so far, the Americans looking pretty good. Definitely like driving the M3A1 US Marine Corps. Hooah! If you're a Marine Corps person who are watching this right now. Yes, this thing is really nice. The 37mm on the M2A4 Stuart, M5 as well, because I imagine that's the same thing. Maybe even different. No, it's the M6, so this may be slightly different. The Americans' tanks so far looking really nice. Probably will get onto the M16, M13 gun carriage. But no, looking very nice as well. Definitely making some pretty decent progress in that already. So, now that I've talked to you about my progress, let's talk about goals for the future. Now, of course, I do intend to be going down Japan slightly more than what I am at the moment. Definitely want to get the B7A2 at some point. Probably going to spend some limited amount of time. I think the Japanese will probably be the most limited when it comes to doing stuff. Well, perhaps one of the most limited. I mean, you never know. Things may turn out differently, but I definitely will say this in particular, the B7A2 is certainly something I really want to play as the Japanese, because then it's a very good dive bomber. It also has 20mm cannons, and also can pave the way for the Zeros of the future. Then again, I also will get some Zeros as well. More Zeros is better, as they have 20mm cannons, as well as a really good combat performance. But at the same time, I will also try and get the KI-102 as well as the KI-45 Hype, as they both have relatively good amounts of weapons on them as well, which all of these sort of heavy fighter-esque vehicles look really good, and I do enjoy using them because they can take, as much as the Japanese have little to no armor, they do take a fair amount of punishment, and you know, they are quite a lot of fun to fly as well. So looking forward to progressing further down the tech tree. Not too sure about the rest of the fighters. The Ki-61s do the job, but I don't really feel that they're... I mean, you never know. I mean, probably want to go down the list a little bit more. They probably will do better than perhaps I originally thought, but at the same time, we'll see how things go. But I don't really think I'll be going down much. That looks good, though. I will say, that looks pretty good. Like I said, limited amount of progression here. Probably only going to get the B7A2, because I've got to try and set myself realistic goals, because I know I probably will be playing World of Tanks at points more than this. But yeah, at least try and get that for the Japanese. For Britain, I really don't know how much progress I'm going to be making for Britain, but I know I should be getting the Tier 3 Spitfire Mark 9. That at least means I can have an extra amount of machine gun for, or another extra amount of Spitfire for this nation. So at least I can feel slightly better for myself, as well as gaining the Type Mark, or the Mark 1 BL Typhoon, which should either replace the Beaufighter on this side, or will probably, more likely, it will replace my Hurricane Mark 2B, as it's the only other semi-decent fighter of this lineup at the moment. As to progress, I think probably we'll go... I probably think what a pretty good idea is to perhaps spend some time... I think I need to buy a couple more Tier 3 fighters? I guess I think I must... I think I need to research or buy a few Tier 3 and get a few more fighters before I can start researching. But if I can get a few more fighters, and perhaps I might have to delve in a bomber. Not that I want to, mind, but I think I'll have to get a few more bombers, then get a bomber or two, and then I can kind of get on to researching the Mosquito line, because I do want to get those Mosquitoes. Even if this Mosquito is here, I don't mind. I think either one of these or one of these will be good progress for my British lineup. But like I said, as much as I am British myself, I don't really think I'll be progressing down this line as much as previously thought. For the Soviet Union, gonna be honest with you, not really thinking I'm going to advance too much in the Soviets. I think I might need to start, taking my time out of the aircraft and think, you know what, as much as it would be nice to play certain aircraft, I don't think I'll be dedicating much, if any, time flying the Soviet aircraft. I mean, hell, I enjoy flying them when I do fly them, but I personally think I'll probably dedicate more time going for the tanks than the aircraft itself. Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it, because then that way I do enjoy I think the only aircraft I really enjoy flying at the moment is the IL-2 series, because it is such a nice ground attack aircraft, and the amount of fire you can put down on your opponents, and the amount of damage you can take is ridiculous. So yeah, the heavy lineup, heavy fighter lineup, certainly going to put some time into that, but then again also, I also think, probably going to end up getting maybe a Yak-9K or whatever, but generally speaking, limited if not any research into the Russian tree for the aircraft. But for the army, I am going to try my best to try and go down this line, as it is another line to go down. Possibly not as much as the American or Germans, but I am still going to go down this as, KV-85, KV-2s, T-34-57s. When I start getting Tier 3 tanks, I can actually start utilising the premium tank I bought, which is the T-34-57. So that will make things very nice for grinding up the tech tree. And then as I can progress further down, I could start utilising the big-ass guns like the Su-152 or the KV-2's 152mm derp, or the IS tank. Generally speaking, the Russian tanks, which will hopefully make grinding out the Soviet Russian tech tree for the vehicles at least a little easier / more enjoyable than before. Which looking forward to. Definitely going to progress down here. As for the Luftwaffe, well, I am definitely going to be progressing down the German lines. Definitely going to be pushing myself to getting at least a Tier 4 German fighter, as I really want one. And also, I want one of those. I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but god damn, I want one. I have mentioned it before. Yeah, I really, 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 really want one. I mean, it's a Goliath. Not a Goliath, it's I don't even know what the nickname for this thing is, except for amazing. Because look, it's so sexy. It's so nice, and I really want one. So definitely want to get myself one of these. I don't think I'll be able to. Realistically, I don't think I'll be able to get one. But if I really go mad one day and do nothing but War Thunder for a while, maybe, just maybe. So I will be definitely progressing down the lineup and try and get myself into some tier 4 German fighters. Though at the moment I am currently researching. At the rate I'm going, it'll take me some time to get there. I guarantee it will take me some time to get there. So maybe at least a tier 4 fighter would be nice. I mean, hell, I can potentially start researching a tier 4 German Bf109G6, which looks really nice. That is really nice as well. 30mm. Nice. So yeah, definitely looking forward to playing some more German fighters. Definitely looking forward to upgrading this thing as well. This thing is actually pretty good in combat, I will say. She's very nice, and I've been able to get some decent results with this thing thus far, so I'm looking forward to putting her more to the test later on. As for the Panzerkampfwagen League, Panzerlehr Division, I am obviously going to progress further down the line, getting myself more of the German tanks. Hopefully, going to get a Königstiger at some point. Hopefully, if I spend more time playing this game, if I stick to using also the premium tank as well that I've got. Whereabouts is it? If there is Panzer L70 as well. Definitely going to try and get myself into doing more games with this lineup as well, because you know this thing, the Panzer 4 L70 does the job as well, but hopefully going to progress down the line and get some experience on these things so I can actually get some enjoyment out of this. But obviously games depending on whether or not we have good games or not, or whether or not I feel like playing this at times, hopefully can get a tier 4 get a Königstiger at some point. That said, I have got the Panzer L70 ready to go, so I'll just need to probably buy that at some point and get replacing of this thing. So America, obviously, once again, I think this is the most realistic goal for getting an American tier 4 fighter. I think I'm closer to the Americans getting tier 4 stuff than I am to any other nation. So if I spend some time getting this vehicle, which is going to take some time, mind. It's definitely going to take some time. But then again, this is a Bearcat, and I'm looking forward to this thing. Yeah, I'm probably going to go down the naval line a bit more than perhaps the Army line, simply because I'm not really keen on that fighter. Heavy fighter bomber, bullshit, but okay. Looks more like a Spastica fighter, but never mind. So anyway, like I was saying, definitely going to try and go down this lineup. Probably going to buy this vehicle at some point and then get myself more stuff involved in capturing and getting this thing going. I'm looking forward to this, actually. And I get the other Bearcat as well. Yay! I wanted this at first as well. I was kind of annoyed at patch 1.43 for not giving me the ability to get these. And now that I can get these, I'm like, yay! I've got useful fighters. As well, also, don't forget, I now have, of course, the P51 D50 T20NA, which means, of course, when I start utilizing American vehicles, or tier 4 American aircraft, I can actually use this as well, which means more grinding and money. So, thumbs up on that regard. Going over to the Army, obviously I want to progress down the American medium line, as I do like the American M4 Sherman. The Shermans are amazing. That's the original Sherman as well. I also want to go down the heavy line, but I think the Sherman line for me is looking the most likely to be quite nice. I do like the M4A2, and then of course we've got the M4A3, which has much better, is basically the EV8. Then of course we get the M26 Pershing, then the M46 Patton, and then of course the M46-7 Patton 2. But I think for me, getting up to tier 3 American tanks would probably be the best bet for this lineup as well. So, there you have it, guys. Lots of talking, a little bit more than I had probably anticipated, but then again, of course, this is the year in review. So, thank you very much for watching this year in review. If you find any of the pros and cons that I've listed to either be of your liking, or if you think there are certain things I haven't talked about perhaps as much in the pros or cons section, or if you found something that you personally like or absolutely loathe, then feel free to let me know in the comment section, whereupon we can talk and have really awesome stuff and learn more stuff about whether this game is going as better or going for worse, who knows. And thank you very much as well for staying and watching this video, and also Merry Christmas to you. I hope you have a very lovely Christmas. I hope you get lovely gifts, and I hope you have a lovely time with your family. So once again, thank you very much for watching. If you like this kind of content, feel free to let me know in the comments section down below, clicking on the like button, and of course subscribing to the channel. If you yourself are a War Thunder player, a YouTuber, or a YouTuber who does War Thunder, feel free to let me know in the comment section down below if there's anything I could do to make the next video even more awesome than that. Anyway guys, this is Crap Hunter signing out. I'll catch you next time.